Hey guys, we're our Nights. I'm Ray.
I'm Julien.
And we are going to be watching Oversimplified Hitler, Part 1. So a little background on who Hitler was and why he did what he did. I got this in the comment that we should react to this. So I figured, hey, you came up with today. Extra time.
Yep.
Let's knock it out. We're also showing off our new back piece. So,
if anybody finds a gap, I
Take a lot
will
of work.
find you and
Take a lot of work, but here we are. We're gonna. It's honestly, I don't know much about the guy. So I don't know what I know that he was a World War II guy. He's the main bad guy. But what motivated him? I know he was in World War I. I know that he fought in World War One.
Yes.
And I know that Germany was like all the countries were making them pay money.
Yeah.
For restitution.
That's what I've
understood. And they were their army was limited. They were being forced, and then they're like, screw that. Like Hitler came in and screw that. Yeah. But other than that, I don't think I know anything else other than that. And even that, I know in bits and pieces. Like I don't know that much more.
I've read a lot of books about Hitler, so I know quite a bit. But I don't want to get too deep into it because I can go into like an hour-long conversation about Hitler.
I thought you may know more about this than I do.
Yeah, I know he's a failed art student, but I mean, I don't know.
Really?
If I failed out of college, I
didn't know that.
I don't think I would do
an art
this.
Student.
Yeah. And when you see his paintings, it was actually really good.
All right.
I know he had a lot of.
I know he wrote a book.
He did a lot of civil rights for Germany, and he was actually like a big activist leader.
Well, there's no denying he loved Germany.
Yeah.
I mean, that was his thing.
Yeah.
He was crazy about it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. We can see that.
What do you guys? This is Hitler Oversimplified. Let's check this out. Let's see how to do this.
Yep.
Look at this baby. So gentle. So innocent. You'd think this child would grow up to become a good man. An honest man. Well, think again.
Boy.
Hitler was born Adolphus Hitler in 1889 in a small town in Austria-Hungary. His father, Alois Schicklgruber, was born out of wedlock, but eventually changed his name to that of his stepfather, becoming Alois Hitler. Alois was a mid-level Austrian customs officer, not really rolling in cash, but certainly rolling in women. He married a much older lady, but then immediately started having affairs, including one with a much younger house servant. A few years later, he left his sick wife to be with his mistress, but since the Catholic Church didn't allow divorce at the time, he couldn't marry her. So he waited for his old wife to die and had a child in the meantime. Then his wife died, so he married his mistress and had another child, but then his new wife got sick, so he employed his much younger cousin Clara to take care of her. Then when his new wife died, he immediately got Clara, his cousin, pregnant, and then married her in that order, you rock star. Clara and Alois had 3 children together, who all tragically died while in infancy. So when the 4th child, Adolf, came along, Clara spoiled him rotten. The Hitlers had 2 more kids, and the family moved around a few times.
The Hitlers,
meaning Adolf had to
weird.
5 different
It is, really.
Adolf's father was strict.
I think I will watch a show called The Hitlers. Like it was some kind of sitcom that seems. I can imagine the jingle. Just get us started.
Keep it in the family.
The Hitlers!
Quick to anger and took most of it out on the eldest son until he had enough and ran away at the age of 14, leaving 7-year-old Adolf to do most of the chores and get berated by his father. The result was a difficult relationship with his dad while he was super attached to his mother, who worried over him and his health excessively. Hitler did well in school at first. His grades were good and his teachers praised him. He was popular with the other kids and enjoyed gathering them together to play war games. He also loved reading, and particularly liked stories about
white guys take over
everything. As he grew older, though, he started to get into trouble. He was caught smoking once, organized a raid on a local orchard, tormented his pro-Austria religion teacher with symbolic gestures, displaying his allegiance to the idea of united Germanic people under a greater German state and defiance of Habsburg Austria. You know, the usual. All of this enraged Adolf's father, who punished him severely. The area of Austria-Hungary that Hitler lived in was once part of the German Confederation, and many of the people who lived there considered themselves to be German. Adolf tended to just go against whatever his father said, and since his father was an Austrian public official, Hitler got big into German nationalism. This enraged Adolf's father, who punished him severely.
All this because of the rebellion with his father?
He struck. His 6-year-old brother, whom he loved a lot,
I think that's a
died of
pretty
measles
far
when
gone
Adolf was
rebellion.
10, and was buried in the cemetery just across from their home. Around this time, neighbors reported a change in the young boy. Strange behaviors such as talking to trees and staying up late staring at the stars from the cemetery walls. He lost interest in religion, and his school grades started to decline, which enraged his father, who punished him severely.
Jeez.
It also didn't help that he had just entered high school, and the cool city boys treated him like a rural peasant. He had to repeat a grade and had little interest in most school subjects, instead spending his time reading and drawing, which he was quite good at. One day his father said, "Son, someday you'll be a big balls public official like me." And Adolf replied, "No, father, I'm going to become an artist and soar high above the clouds with the eagles." This enraged his father, but by this time he was an old-ass man, so he just sort of let it go, and then died of a lung hemorrhage. Hitler just about passed his final semester and celebrated in the typical way by getting blackout drunk and wiping his ass with a certificate.
Oh, really?
However, he didn't take the overall final school exam, instead just dropping out. The now 16-year-old boy was unemployed, without much purpose in life, and for the next 3 years he stayed that way. He spent most of his time at the opera with his only friend, August Kubizek. Kubizek later wrote his memories of the young Hitler, and said he was passionately interested in many things, felt he was in many ways better than others his age, was quick to anger just like his father, and an incredible speaker once he was ranting. When he was 18, he said a very sad goodbye to his mother and went to Vienna to take the entrance exam for art school. He failed. Soon after, he had to return home. His mother was sick, and her health was rapidly deteriorating. Hitler stayed by her side, and when she eventually died, the family doctor said he had never seen someone so overwhelmed with grief as Hitler was. Then Hitler returned to Vienna, still hoping to find a career in the arts, but he never did. Instead, without parental support, Hitler ended up on the streets. Now in his early 20s, he spent a few rough years living in and out of homeless shelters, making what little he could from selling postcards he painted.
It didn't seem like he was that great with art the way you're making him out to be.
Listen, if you saw his art, it was actually really good.
You may be a bad judge of art.
Well, I don't know.
Well, it sounds like he failed at all types of art stuff, and now he's selling postcards on the side of the road.
Yeah. I feel for the guy, honestly.
By the way, I knew nothing of any of this.
I didn't know about his early life. I knew about like his later life when he became, a little woohoo.
A little.
Yeah.
It's hard to pinpoint exactly when and how Hitler's extreme ideological beliefs formed, but his time in Vienna would have certainly played a role. Anti-Semitism was widespread in the city. The mayor, whom Hitler supported, was an outspoken anti-Semite. There were many right-wing anti-Semitic newsletters, which Hitler took a keen interest in. He bought into the conspiracy theories, and became a firm believer in the idea that there are many races in constant struggle with one another, the purest of which were the German Aryan people, and the worst of which, he believed, were Jews. Since Austria-Hungary was a multi-ethnic empire full of lesser races, Hitler wasn't a fan. So when he was 24, he moved to Munich in Germany to avoid doing military service, and for one more year he was a drifter on the streets, until something huge happened. In 1914, long-standing tensions in Europe erupted into the First World War. Crowds across Europe celebrated the news. Within days, Hitler volunteered for the German army. The war gave him a purpose in life. His fellow soldiers gave him friendship and brotherhood.
That's a
Despite
pretty big
the horrors of war,
mustache.
Hitler considered it to be the best time of his life.
Really?
He was reportedly a brave soldier and was awarded the Iron Cross, first class. He was also very lucky and had many close encounters with death. His luck ran out in 1916, however, when an artillery shell injured his leg. He went back to Germany to recover and was outraged to find a general apathetic anti-war attitude among the exhausted and hungry German populace. With the war turning against Germany, he returned to the front lines, but was temporarily blinded by a British gas attack in 1918. A month later, still recovering in hospital, Hitler learned of Germany's defeat and surrender. The terms of the peace treaty were tough on Germany. It had to pay a lot of money and lose a lot of
that's what I was talking about earlier.
These conditions weakened Germany and humiliated the German people. Europe's borders changed after the war too. New countries were formed out of Russia's lost territory. Austria-Hungary was dissolved, and there was one big new country splitting Germany into two. Hitler, seeing the country he loved humiliated like this, said that hatred grew in him for those responsible, by which he meant communists and Jews, who he believed had stabbed Germany in the back by spreading dissent and anti-war propaganda back home.
Wow. Excellent. Excellent part two. Part one, excuse me. I wonder how they were backing up that the Jews were the one. They put all these blames on the Jewish people, and like how they just thought of it, like, oh, it's the Jews, and that was it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it just let's hate them. There was 2 newspapers on anti-Semitism?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
back then it was really widespread.
Yeah,
like, there was fascist groups that were even forming in Britain and like other. Obviously, where it's not.
I mean, it
popular.
forms here too in America. I mean, there's been people like. It's crazy.
It like when fascism started gaining ramp, it was considered an actual political belief, and it was something that took on like our Republicans and Democrats, which is insane because neither one of those parties are that extreme.
That's crazy. What about I didn't know he was decorated soldier.
That I didn't know. Because that's where a lot of his descent with the like Austria and all the surrounding countries came from. Because when Germany started taking all this flack for losing the war, starting the war because of Archduke Ferdinand and whatnot, that's when he just started getting more angry, and so
Well, listen, the guy was homeless for a while, or drifted for that matter,
Mm-hmm.
for a while, had no parents, struggling, and he probably felt at home at war. Like he felt like he probably had hot meals, it was just, rather than not doing it, like he felt a purpose. I can see, like, the purpose from finally, as opposed to those people, the other people who were like, no more war, he wanted to keep this going probably, and so looking for ways to keep it going. That was really good. I liked it. That was very interesting. I had no idea of a lot of this early stuff about his father.
I didn't know about that either.
And his father's name was not really that name. Like he took his father's
stepfather.
So it'll be it'll be his grandfather's name actually.
Yeah.
Or his step-grandfather's name. It's confusing. I'm already confused.
Families, keep it in.
But his father was a player.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, left the old hag for a younger lady. When the younger lady died, went with his cousin.
Yeah, that's great. And then but before that, he had that rich lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, go figure. And then three of those kids died. Awful. Well, anyway, guys, this was Hitler's Oversimplified Part 1. We'll be watching Part 2 soon.
Yes.
Guys, if you like what we're doing, hit the subscribe button. Hey, join our Patreon. Leave a like on the like button, guys. Leave a comment if you like to. We want to be doing some more of these videos like this. So we've been watching a lot of World War II movies, and these little videos actually put stuff into perspective for us.
Definitely.
Like when we actually do watch the movie or the show and whatnot, and it's like, okay.
It widens our understanding of the surrounding situation and explains a lot of the events that happened.
Yeah, and a view of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And usually we're like, what's going on at that moment, but why it happened, who's in control. There's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing these little videos like this, I'm sure this is not 100% accurate. Of course, it's simplified. There's a lot more to it than this, but it still helps. It still helps perspective.
Yeah.
On the view of what we're looking into.
It also gives like just enough details to keep you interested, not like the really, really boring details, and he sprinkles in some jokes there just to keep the
Yeah, I'm not a fan, and there was a fan.
Yeah. And the story about Hitler using his degree to wipe his butt.
Yeah. What? Hey, listen, the guy, he was getting beat all the time by his dad, so he had some built up anger. Well, anyway, guys, we're our Knights. I'm Ray.
I'm Julien.
Guys, take care. We'll see you soon.